Hello and welcome back to EVE Online with me, Mark from Narcotics, and as we log in Furia Severas to get ready for another adventure. We are here to do another 3 out of 10 Narcotics warehouse of the Serpentis flavour here in the Catalyst. Now this was requested by a sub. His name is Sup, S-U-P, what's up Sup? And a little bit repetitive. I know we did, well, in fact our last video was the Cormorant doing this kind of site, but I do play the site in a different way. I'm obviously in a different ship, and because I've played a few of these sites quite recently, I've got even, I'd like to say, better at doing them. But anyway, the high slots have 8 125mm compressed coil railguns, giving us 100 DPS with the long range ammo, the tungsten ammo, the restrained Microwarpdrive to get us moving around, the Stasis Webifier to slow them down if they do get in close. 2 compact magnetic field stabilizers just to show you don't need the Tech 2 ones. Then we've got the small armor repairer. In this bit it's a meta version. In the video it's actually a Tech 2 version, but we'll see how relevant that is and you can assess that for yourselves as we actually play the site. So it's all about these guns, the rail guns, blasting out 34km fall off range with the tungsten ammo. So we're going to try and control it, minimise the incoming damage. In a rig slot we've got the burst aerator, which actually ups the rate of fire by 10% on the rail guns. And then we've got 2 of the Trimark armour pumps. They actually increase the base amount of armour that your ship has by 15% each. The drawback is slowing down your ship. That's normally 10%, mitigated to 7% by my armour rigging skills. You can also get the rigs obviously that boost the amount of repair you get from your armour repairer. I already had it rigged this way. I usually go for active tank with an armor ship simply because putting an armor plate in the bottom of a destroyer really slows it down and makes it even more unmaneuverable because, you know, basically you're bolting a huge lump of metal to the back end of your ship. So there we are, just over 5 million's worth of catalyst. We've got about 100 DPS for long range ammo. We've got about 4,600 hit points of tank altogether, which is less than we had on the Cormorant. But we'll see how that works out for us, won't we? So here we are, undocking from the station in Metzerel. Just getting some screenshot opportunities there. We've actually got the spirit skin on the catalyst today, which is one of my favourites. I like the way it changes the colour of the lamps into something a little bit more evil. Anyway, we bookmarked this site because this particular narcotics warehouse I scanned down with my Imicus rather than getting as an escalation. So we're going to warp straight up there. Now this is a gated site, so just warp straight to it. As I said in the last video, when you're doing the refuges, the hideaways, and particularly the dens, you want to warp to them in this kind of destroyer fit at 20 or maybe even 30 kilometers, so you don't land in close and have a lot of DPS coming in quickly. But on a gated site such as this one, you just warp up to the gate. You have no control over where you're going to land in the rooms. That's all part of the room design, I guess. So in we go. More screenshots, why not? I love the graphics in this game, and I know some of you occasionally, a couple of you I should say, have commented that I don't run this in the very, very highest settings. I know that, I just find it a little bit more, especially when I'm multi-boxing, reliable and not too. I've had some horrible crashes and lost ships and stuff, and footage in the past, so I take it easy. Anyway, we are in the room. We're just going to sit here and kill the first kind of little wave that are nearest to us. They're already in range, so we don't even have to move. And then just as a little bit of variety for this room, whereas in the last one, if you remember, I did fly around manually a little bit, showing you how to sort of do that and use that to control the aggro and control the range. I'm simply on this site going to orbit the structure that is the one containing the key and so hopefully some loot. Just going to orbit that at 30 once we get in range and leave it going. So I'm going to speed up the footage now. In fact, I'm going to go to maybe 5 times speed and we'll just see how we get on here. So we're in our orbit now on the supply traffic management that contains the key and the loot. And we just kill these guys as they come into range. Target them and kill them. Target them and kill them. Now, as a comparison between the Cormorant and the Catalyst, I like them both. The Catalyst has a little bit more DPS simply because it can hold, you know, one more gun, 8 instead of 7. And it literally has that 12 extra DPS. Yeah, that works out, doesn't it? It's got 100 with this ammo, and I think the Cormorant had 88, so that pretty much illustrates the difference there. And if you did want to fit your catalyst with a probe launcher so you could go and rove around and find some sites to run, you'd have to drop a gun anyway, which would make you pretty much on a par DPS wise directly with the Cormorant. And there goes Kaboom, the supply traffic management building. We'll just go over, pick up what is only the basic loot and the key, and this time we're going to go into the security room. Last time we went into the check-in area, and just to remind ourselves again, the Eve Uni page is our guide. We've got a lot to fight in here, 28 frigates and a cruiser, and it's the cruiser that might hold the loot. So we'll go and make sure we get him. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing when we land in the room. Although I made one little error, I switched to antimatter ammo just to kill the supply traffic management structure quicker, and I've forgotten that when I've opened up here, so that's why I'm not applying any damage. I do tweak, but I just sit here, kill the first wave again, and then we'll just have a little look. I'm a little bit more active in this, so I don't just orbit a structure. I do exactly what I did with the Cormorant, which was basically single out the groups, head over towards them, try to control the range. And I'm a little bit more conservative here than I was with the Cormorant, in that I'm not flying in quite so close to the other ships. I'm turning around a little bit earlier just to hold the range a little bit better. And as you may have noticed, I've so far taken absolutely 0 damage in the running of this site. So we're going to speed this back up and until we get to the next gate, I think. And 28 enemies plus a cruiser can look quite daunting when you look at the mission site on the Eve Uni. But as I've said, individually they're all very weak. It's just a question of not letting them get on top of you. I'm getting sensor damped here, which shuts my range off, so I drop my DPS or I have to relock, and I'm not really worrying about it, just taking my time. And there we go, they're nearly all dead already. Quick check of the guide just to see where we are. I'm going to switch to antimatter ammo just to take this cruiser down a little bit quickie. I'm trying to hold an orbit here, I was trying to hold an orbit of 15 kilometers because the cruiser was slightly faster than me. I just kept flying away from it, which was great. It reduced my traversal and still kept me hitting him, and he wasn't touching me. So I did take a couple of hits to my shield there. I feel disappointed, more disappointed by the fact I've got, again, just the absolute basic loot, really, from that wreck, just the overseer's personal effects. And there's something, again, that you take to a Concord station to sell for the best price. Same place that I take the clone soldier tags, you take some of the stuff from the Abyss site, Triglavian sites. So it's quite handy, and it's also a system Assiettes, actually, where I use as a gateway into one of those low-sec pockets where I hunt the high-end clone soldiers, so it all works out fine for me. So we're now onto the central warehouse, the third room of the 4, and let's see how we get on in here. Oh, just a heads up actually, while we're cruising over towards the gate. I tried this in a Thrasher. I had an escalation and I was going to do it just for, you know, in the name of diversity, run one of these in a Thrasher. It's quite funny in an arty Thrasher because the rate of fire is so low, but the alpha damage is so high. And I had the timer on the escalation, and I thought that was the timer to get into the site. For the first time I found out that that's the timer when the site despawns, whether you're in it or not. So I got about 2/3 of the way through the site and it just despawned around me. So make sure you leave enough time on your escalation timer to actually do the whole site. So we're going to take out those sentry towers first, because they've probably got quite a long range and are likely to do the most damage to us over time. And then we'll get to work on the little guys. And certainly over time, the more you run these sites, the easier you're going to find it to run them. Don't be put off if the first time you get in you need to run away. These sites, none of them are ever going to destroy your ship really, unless things go horribly wrong or you're not really paying attention. If it, you know, nothing's going to pin you there. What I do actually find, which is a little bit odd, is here in high sec I'm almost more nervous of the other people in local. I know a couple of the people that are here, but I'm a little bit wary because I've had people just charge into sites that I'm running and kind of steal the loot off me. Which in low sec, obviously, you've got a fight on your hands when you do that. But in high sec, especially on dens, I find it the most. You get a ship that just comes in, can storm straight in, try to get that escalation off you. And same on Narcotics warehouses a couple of times. So in low sec, you're worried about somebody maybe catching you and killing you. But here, you've got the challenge, and I'm appreciating a little bit more of just the other players competing for the sites that you're trying to run. But as you've seen, I'm going to speak more in the last room because there's a bit more to it this time. As I'm actually ploughing my way through here, I realise I'm running very short of the long-range ammo, and in fact by about now, if I recall rightly, there you go, I've run out of it. I'm now just firing antimatter at everything, which means I have to get in closer, which means I'm going to take more damage. But as you see, never scary. I don't think we've even been in half armour, and we're in an half shield, and we're in an armour tank ship. So there we are, no loot in that cruiser. I did just go and check, and we're off into the last room, and this is where we're going to pay a little bit of attention now. So here, this is still running at 5 times speed. This is me thinking, should I go and get some more tungsten ammo? I'm thinking about who else is in local. I need to get on with the site. I'm really just looking, try to size this up, see if I can get a plan. Now these rats here, as you can see there, are in distinct groups. If I aggro them one at a time, I should be fine. I've got to get within about 20 kilometers here with the antimatter ammo to take them out. So this is basically something I learned a long time ago in a game called City of Heroes, Mob Aggro Management. It is the science of getting in here without the rest coming out to me. If you just flew straight into this mob, that would be your Leroy Jenkins of Eve. If I just targeted a random ship, I'm really carefully picking out which ship I'm going for. Here I'm going for one of the sentry towers. Now it's isolated from the rest of the ships. Then I'm turning back round and moving after the next group. That is how I'm managing to take so little damage so far. I'm still only in half shield, and I'm gradually working my way through these guys. The advantage is, I guess, once I get there with my antimatter ammo, they are going down. I'm one-shotting quite a few of these frigates, and perhaps with a little bit more DPS I could do it even more. I don't know if going forward I might just try to go into a site and run the whole site with antimatter, now that I've got a little bit more warmed up on this kind of side of things, of making sure I'm in complete control of who can hit me and who can't. So it's just on with the show really. And do use your tactical view just to check, because it's hard from any one view to really get a sense of the perspective. So do swing the view right up so you can see the depth of the site as well as the width of the site. I used to make the mistake back in the day, I think, of having the view nearly always zoomed in and just playing the game off of the overview. And then you get into situations on sites where you're just taking so much DPS, you may lose a ship, or you certainly may have to warp out and rep and come back. Now, as you can see, we're into the final group of ships now on one sentry tower. And this is where I take my first armor damage of the entire site. At least I guess I get to check that the rep is working. I rep once on the entire site. I think if I'd known I was doing quite so well, I would have made a point of not taking that armor damage, so I could say I'd taken none. But there you go. It's just about controlling the aggro, controlling the range. Now we're slowly burning down the supply stronghold. We're getting some more screenshots. And let's see what the loot fair is going to bring us today, shall we? Now, as I said before, I don't worry about looting these wrecks or doing any salvaging on these kind of sites. If you want to, please do. I just move on. I've got the other routes to switch to. I've got videos to make. I've got a list of jobs to do. But that choice, of course, is yours and yours alone. Right, so it's blown up a very pretty big bang. Let's see what we got, shall we? And we've got about 42 million's worth of Corelli A-type modules, the armour hardener, the armour plating, an afterburner, and a remote armour repairer, and of course the overseer's effect. So all in all, from the site, let's not forget to actually pick up the loot. I'm sure I will in a moment. I think our total for the site is 48 million, which isn't too bad really. It's taken about 35 minutes in real time, so that's well over a mil a minute, which is one of those thresholds we all like to aspire to. I'm just checking to see if that escalated, because sometimes they can, and sometimes I miss the escalation message on the screen, so I'm being a little bit careful. But there you are. We have cleared it in the catalyst. We took one hit into our armour of damage on the whole site, so I think we've done very, very well. Now we're just going to flick over to the Cormorant just to see what he's been up to lately. And here we are, we're landing on a belt in good old Ceylin where there is a Mordu Special Warfare Unit Commander. That is a Barghest battleship, and if you can kill it, it drops a blueprint copy for itself. I've already found it and walked away, given Yepfar Nartepa a shout, and he's bringing some DPS. I've come back onto grid to take some aggro. These can warp away, these Mordu. They're quite a rare spawn, much rarer than they were a year or two ago. We're going to make sure we get this one. And also, I've found it. I'm here. I'm on grid. I'll get a share of the loot, and that's quite important. And this is just one of those random low-sec or little spoken of bits of low-sec that you don't see very often in videos. Is the Mordu belt rats. They come in 3 flavours. But right now, as you can see, he's got me disrupted. He can disrupt me out to about 32 kilometers. He's starting to get some damage on me. I'm only in a little Cormorant. I'm going to turn around, burn out of his disruptor range, and then I've got the option of warping off if I need to. So I'm not here to make any strong contribution to this kill. That's what the Hyperion is for. That's got lots of DPS. It needs to kill that thing quite quickly. And I'm actually very impressed that Yepfar's Hyperion solos this quite as quickly as it does, as you will see. So I get into an orbit. I'm getting a few hits now, so I'm actually going to warp off. I'm not here to die. Don't want to run out of Cormorants, and I don't want to go back to the shops, and this is the only one I've got in this pocket at the moment. I do like to have one handy, as you know. So I'm going to warp off, leave him to get on with it. He's told me we've actually got comms on Discord that you obviously can't see in the recording, which is how I called him out, and now I know he's very confident that he's going to be able to solo that. Although he's not quite soloing it, because he's got the help of a mighty Alpha Cormorant. So I'm just going to warp over here, walk back in, and participate in finishing off the guy. Always remember which belt you found the Mordu on. It can be really frustrating when you dash off to reship and then you're like, which belt was it? Especially in a system with lots of belts. The Mordu might also spawn a frigate, which will be a Gamur, which you actually may have seen me have a dead heat with in a very low skill meta launcher Caracal in one of my low sec hijinks videos. There's also the Orpheus, the cruiser one. That's quite a... they're all tanky. They all try to pin you. You need a good Drake or 2 at least to take down an Orpheus. I do have some footage of me trying to do it in a ham Caracal with a Celestis on grid as well, and we couldn't even dent its tank. But we weren't ready for it, and we were just doing general ratting. Anyway, I've come back on grid to find that Yepfar has pretty much killed the Mordu already. I did try to form a fleet with him to put him on the watch list so we could see how he was getting on, but that was not really much of a point. So he's picked up the loot because he likes to do that. I've asked him to drop it so I can grab it just to show you in the video, and we shall do that. But basically the rule in our little pocket is if you find the Mordu and you get on grid while it's going down, you get an equal share of the loot. That's the way we do it. You can encourage Mordu to spawn by by ratting out a system completely. Every single belt rat needs to die. You then need to wait 20 minutes and do it again. And then you need to wait 20 minutes and do it again. And eventually the spawns will escalate and you'll get a Mordu. There's the blueprint. I am now going to dash straight back to the safety of the station, where we will have a look at how much that might be worth there. So here we are, back safe at home. Let's have a look. We've got to find this in contracts, obviously, and they are going for, there you go, well over 600 million on contract. So we've only got to split that between the two of us today, although he owes me about 300 million, so maybe I'll just keep that one. So there you go. That's how we pay the bills, or another way we pay the bills over here in low sec. Some of those lovely big fat juicy rats. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it useful. Please leave any comments. I love it when you suggest ways you might change the fit yourselves. It's all about personal taste, the way you want to run the site, whether you want a bit more DPS, whether you want a bit more tank. I like hearing about all that kind of stuff. Please leave us a like if you've liked it, subscribe if you want to stay in touch, click that notification bell so you know when a new video comes out. But for now, fly safe, fly brave, remember Even is believing, take care and goodbye.